Hey everybody, this is another episode of our hit YouTube radio show, David's Occult Class. Yup, that's us. What episode are we on now, Christine, on David's Occult Class?
16.
Ooh, that's a nice number. Are you telling me this is our quinceañera?
16.
Oh, alright, you went in a far worse direction than I was going.
Where are you going?
I went for quinceañera. It's my sweet 16, I think. Or is that 15? I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
Sweet 16 and quinceañera they're really close in age, so they tend to go together, but I'm not super sure now.
I never had a sweet 16 because I don't care.
Yeah. You didn't turn 16, that's why. You skipped that.
I skipped it.
Fun fact, Christine went 15,
choices
17.
in my life I turned 16.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Well, I have two lengthy, and actually one lengthy and one kind of supplementary topic today. What about you? You have, I think we're looking up
I was mainly
tales?
just doing stories because, like, they're fun.
Well, how many you got? A couple?
I only got
two?
I only got two. But
Well, let's start off with one of your scary stories, and then I'll do my subjects, and then we'll finish with another scary story.
Well, we got a suggestion saying that they wanted to hear more stories about, like, being on the road and seeing monsters
yeah.
and things like that. So I was, like, looking up some stories. I found a couple, but there's a lot. But also, it's a little hard to search. I was driving and then monsters happen. Because people are just talking about, like, I was taking a walk in the woods and then, I gotta jump by a monster. And you're like, okay.
That's pretty scary, too, though.
That's not a road. But, yeah.
It's like a proto-road, because before roads, your feet were your car.
But we were talking about, like, we already have talked about Mothman, right?
No,
we haven't talked about Mothman?
I mean, we've brought up Mothman.
We brought
them all up, but
Mothman Prophecies or whatever is on Netflix in Canada right now, so it's probably in the United States. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but just watch that one. It's roadside.
Yep, just watch that movie, that hit movie.
It's a good movie.
No, it's not bad. Yeah, it kind of chronicles the whole Mothman idea into movie form.
But yeah, Mothman was first seen, I think, by young drivers.
Yeah, no, he's a very car cryptid. It works for this.
Which is super cool. But yeah, I'm going to talk about this one, which is titled Cornfield Creature. Which immediately grabbed my interest because I was like, oh, it's like...
Yeah, because you love maize.
Children. Yeah, I like maize. I actually really like corn.
Oh, well, there you go. I was right. See, I only tell truths here on this show. Christine loves maize, eats ice cream wrong, skipped her 16th birthday. Classic.
He knows
Christine.
Everything about me. Apparently.
I do. Christine won't shut up about herself.
So She's so rude.
That's just I only tell the truth, remember? So I have to be honest. I'm like a monster in that way. I'm sorry. Please talk about your maze.
Okay, so I'm going to read directly from this story. The story comes from a person named Frank Semko. And it says that Frank saw a creature he could not identify in a cornfield. I used to work at a cheese factory on the edge of the cornfield in southwestern Minnesota. There were a series of days in the summer of 04 and 05 where it was so hot that the milk began being delivered to us and the trucks would evaporate, which is so gross. That's so gross. Before we got it, it made work easy. The dearth of the milk denied us any actual labor, but management wouldn't let us not come to work. So we would just show up and mess around all shift, which sounds awesome. Except for the fact that gross milk is evaporating, so it probably smells disgusting. I was working night at the time. It was around 2 or 3 a.m. and I was out loading the dock, watching bats fly around the floodlights because I like being out in the cool night air. The corn was about as high as my shoulder, so about like 5'10". This guy is tall.
5'10"?
5'10" is his shoulder.
Oh, all right, yeah. Then
So
he's
you
got
got
another
it.
6 inches
Yeah, exactly.
at least.
Yeah.
About 6'5".
Yeah, that's tall. As I was
It is
watching
tall.
the bats, I looked down at the edge of the cornfield. Something was moving there. It was the size of a small child, very skinny, pale, with something that looked like a head of light black hair. Or, sorry, straight black hair. Where did I get light from? Straight black hair. So basically, it's the Grudge Kid.
Sounds kind of like a skinwalker.
Yeah. It moved in a sort of jerky gait, like someone dancing. The robot, badly. No, it sounds like a Japanese, like, ghost.
Mm-hmm.
It moved in chunks. Legs, then hips, then torso, shoulder, neck, and finally head.
Kind of
That's
makes me think of a
so
stink
funny.
like a stick bug.
Yeah,
You know how stick bugs walk?
blurb,
Like,
blurb,
trying to
blurb,
look
blurb.
like a leaf, but it looks like a small child. You're like,
I'm trying so hard to move. So cute. It was looking back into the cornfield, or at least I felt like it was. I felt prickly all over. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a heron or something at first, but it looked too much like a person. I didn't move, or it didn't move like a person though. Gradually, step by step, it moved towards me. Whoa. Letting my curiosity better my fear, I moved toward the edge of the dock, which was raised a few feet off the ground. When I got within a few feet of the edge, the thing looked at me. I was paralyzed. I could have run, but I was stuck somewhere between terrified and intrigued. It moved its face, still pointed at me. It stretched its body in a disconcerting, jerky movement towards the cornfield and then went into it. I tried to watch where the field moved as it passed, but the corn remained perfectly still. I noticed that all the crickets were silent. After a few minutes, nothing happened. I stood out there for an hour, but it never came back. I never saw it again. I bet it was a guy or a person testing out their rad robot dance moves, and then they saw that somebody was staring at them and got real embarrassed and ran into the cornfield and just cried.
No, I think it was a demon.
You think it was a demon?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a scary demon. If I saw that, I would probably take a knife and slit my own throat. That would be an awful thing to see, and I would never go near corn again. I would hate that. I wouldn't be able to sleep for days.
Fair.
That's the one thing I'm afraid of, is small humanoid creatures that walk around on all fours. It's too much.
I guess it is kind of like a skinwalker then.
It's quite spooky.
Mm.
I guess I should jump to mine now?
Yes.
Oh. Alright, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 monsters who are considered the greatest and most evil yokai in all of Japanese folklore.
I forgot you're doing yokai.
The Ghost Emperor of Sutoku, the 9-tailed kitsune named Tamamo no Me, and the dreaded King of the Oni, Shuten Doji. That's who we're chilling with today. He's a mythical Oni, or demon leader of Japan. Shuten Doji, whose name could be translated as Little Alcoholic. He was not born an Oni. He later became one. It's exciting thus
Okay.
far, I know.
Like,
According...
was he like a terrible warlord and they're like, he's an Oni now?
Oh, no. Don't worry. I have, at the end of this, there's 4 different creation myths as to how he became an Oni. And I'll tell you, none of them are as cool as what you just guessed.
What?
They are all very silly. I don't know how he became the ultimate Oni, because his backstory is very dumb. Be
great.
prepared. The most evil Oni. According to the Oyami Ekotoba version, Shuten Doji, in his sleep, lay in his true form, which was a gigantic, statured demon. Party-colored, 50 feet tall, He had a red body, 5 horns on his head, 15 eyeballs, 1 leg's white, 1 leg's black, 1 arm's yellow, the other arm's blue. He looks like a Lego.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was thinking, like, somebody who was telling the story was some sort of bard, and then every night they kept changing it because he kept getting so drunk that he forgot, like, which arm was what, and, like, he'd always be like, oh, and then he had a yellow arm, and this time he had a black arm, things like that. You're like,
he sounds like he may be the inspiration for Power Rangers and every robot ever, because the red is always the body.
Yeah.
And blue and yellow are the arms a lot. So I think, I mean, blue and yellow were the legs for the Megazord, but you know what I'm saying.
But it was like Voltron.
Yeah, it's pretty on point. The oldest surviving text of the legend is recorded in the 14th century Oyami Ekotoba, Tale of Mount Oe, in pictures and words, a picture scroll, held by the Itsuo Art Museum. Shuten Doji had his lair on Mount Oe, northwest of the city of Kyoto, or maybe Mount Ibuki, depending on the version. It has also been theorized that the original mountain was Mount Oe on the south of the city of Kyoto. So, like a lot of myths, it tends to get mixed up by word of mouth everywhere. And that's why there's like 5 different creation myths for this dude, yeah?
Did you choose this character because of Fate Grand Order and how cute she is?
I'm not gonna say I didn't fucking finally figure out that that's who Shuten Doji was when I was looking up images of him. And yeah, no, she's adorable. And also her teammate, the second part of my story, Ibaraki Doji, is even cuter. It's the one with the red painted eyeball on her head.
Like, literally looking at her, I'm like, God, this is Bob's type. This is why
she is the cutest thing ever. It's really funny, yeah. But no.
Oh my god. No, I like the freaking, what is it? It was like, there's this Shuten Doji, like, freaking Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yeah,
he looks great.
Yeah,
also,
it's funny because, like I said, the original Shuten Doji looks like a big, ugly ogre Voltron, whereas in Fate Stay Night and stuff, it is a small child.
It is a lolly character. That is a demon vampire.
Are you ready for the tale of the Shuten Doji?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just excited. During the reign of Emperor Ichijo, a large number of missing people were being reported in the capital city of Kyoto. Most of the victims being young women. Abe no Seimei, the famous Onmyodo diviner of the imperial court, determines that the Oni Ogre King of Mount Oe was responsible for these abductions.
So he just made up a character and said, this is the reason why people are going missing.
No, he figured it out. He said, it's cute. It's Shuten Doji, you fool. Obviously. You know that thing that we've been talking about forever. Yeah, the emperor commanded Minamoto no Raiko and Fujiwa no Hosho to exterminate this demon. Raiko and his 4 lieutenants, called the Shiteno, while Hosho had only the junior secretary of Daizufu to assist them. So there's like 5 or 6 people going on this, depending on the story.
I commend you for trying to speak Japanese. It's great.
The party encounter a group of 4 old men who turn out to be transformations of 4 deities. Or deities.
Deities.
Yeah, but I'm American, so I say things wrong.
It's okay. It's fine. I used to say deity as a kid, but then my dad was like, that's so wrong. Holy crap, let me just help you there.
No, it's great, yeah. At their recommendation, Raiko and his retinue disguised themselves as Yamabushi priests.
You say retainer? Retainer.
No, it was retinue.
Retinue?
It's not retainer. There's no R at the end.
Oh, okay. So it's not.
It's retinue. I think is the right way to say it. It's basically retainers, but plural.
Retinue.
Retinue. Yeah.
Retinue.
Retinue, I think. But again, I'm American, so everything I say is wrong.
It's okay.
As Yamabushi priests and follow the ways of En no Gyoja, who, he says, was compassionate and hospitable towards demons. So he's pretending to not basically be a murderer so he can go hang out with Shuten Doji. When they travel through the cave tunnel, they come to a river and find an old kidnapped woman. Sometimes it's a young woman. Doesn't really matter. She's doing the laundry. She explains that the other kidnapped maidens are being forced to act as maidservants. But the ogres just randomly also slaughter them and eat them and drink their blood. So
Okay.
it's, you're my maid and also my snack.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, you don't have to make me food because you are the food.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
When
warriors.
you say like doing things for the demons, all I can think about is there's a demon that literally its thing is like, I'm gonna capture a woman so I can make them wash my leg because my leg is so large.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, of course, that's what you would do if you had a big leg.
So weird.
The warriors, pretending to be the priests, convinced the Ogre King to give them lodging, because like I said, they said, hey, we worship a god who is pretty nice to demons. And the Ogre King treats his guests with sake and begins to tell them the tale about himself, how he is called Shuten Doji, the
Doji.
sake drinking lad. I'm sorry, I read ahead and started to laugh because he is the sake drinking lad by his underlings for his
That's
love
great.
of sake. The ogres had been displaced from their ancestral Hira Mountains when Enryaku-ji Temple was built nearby, and have been at Mount Oe since. Raiko then offers Shuten Doji the sake given to him by the deities. I said it even worse that time, which renders him incapacitated. The warriors dress up and put their armor back on that they were hiding under their priestly garbs and backpacks. They storm Shuten Doji's sleeping quarters where he's incapacitated. The four deities hold him down with chains. The ogre, he faults the sneaky underhanded tactics of the warrior. How sad, you priests! You said you do not lie. There is nothing false in the words of demons. And at that, Raiko cuts off Shuten Doji's head with a stroke of the sword. The severed head, still lively, snaps its jaws at Raiko's head, but the warrior defends by wearing his 2 helmets. Just kidding, it's 2 on top of his 3.
So
It
he
blocks
just
the
eats
attack.
Is it blocks the attack or just eats another helmet?
It blocks the attack because of all of the helmets.
Okay.
He
Too
takes
many
the
helmets.
head, triumphant, returns to Kyoto, and they lay it to rest in the Uji no Hozo at Byodo-in Temple. And that was the death of poor Shuten Doji.
Is that a real place though? Is that a place that you can go visit?
I believe so, yeah.
Do you want to go?
Sure. No.
No?
Has a
Really?
demon head, Christine. It has a demon head.
So? That's prime
I don't want to be
place-
cursed by a demon.
Nah, it's fine. We'll just like drink so much sake, it doesn't matter.
Are you ready for his horribly sad backstory?
What? Really?
Shuten Doji. Oh, it's sad. This is a couple of different local folklores about Shuten Doji. Over here in Niigata, he was 12 years of age. He was a pretty boy. He refused all of the females who had a crush on him. Everyone who
Living
approached
your life,
him,
Bob,
sometimes they would die from being so love-stricken. He
Living
burned
your
the
life,
love
Bob.
letters he received from all the females. One female was so mad about it, the smoke came out of the burnt envelopes and turned him into an oni.
What?
Yeah, that's one of his backstories. He was too hot and everybody loved him, but he wanted none of it. Alright, you ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
One story. He's the son of a blacksmith in Ichigo. He was in his mother's womb for 16 months. He had teeth and hair when he was born, immediately able to walk, was able to talk on the level of a 5 or 6-year-old, and had wisdom and physical strength of a 16-year-old,
You know what?
and a rough temperament.
If you were a baby living your mom for 16 months, I would sure hope you would be somewhat useful.
Yeah.
At that point.
Due to his unusual and ready wit, he was shunned as an Oni child. Afterwards, when he was 6 years of age, he was abandoned by his mom. He wandered from place to place and walked the path towards being an Oni. There is also a legend that because he was scorned as an Oni baby, he was put into the custody of a temple. But the chief priest of that temple was a user of unorthodox practices, and the child became an Oni through learning those unorthodox practices that exhausted the limits of evil. I don't think so.
Because Tengu...
For sure, he's just a ghost.
Oh, okay. It kind of makes me think of Hozuki. Like, you know, season 2 where they talk about him being a child, and it's like he was an orphan.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff.
he was just homeless.
He was just a homeless, weird orphan kid.
In the town of Wano, it is said that when a pregnant woman eats a fish called tochi, that child will become a robber if it is a boy, and a prostitute if it is a girl. It is also said that a woman who ate the fish gave birth to a child after it stayed in her womb for 16 months, and that child was Shuten Doji.
Okay. That's such a
so
weird...
one myth, she ate a fish.
This is the bad fruit. Or not fruit, it's a fish. Why would...
Yeah, don't eat that fish.
Fish of corruption.
Yeah, in Mount Ibuki, he, who was born from the large snake, Yamato no Orochi, and a human girl, was a page at Mount Hiei from an early age and underwent training, but he drank sake, which was forbidden by Buddhism, and in fact, was a big drinker, and therefore hated by all. One day, after a religious festival where he dressed up in an Oni costume, he was scaring his fellow priests and people going there. At the end, he tried to take off the costume, but he was unable. It was stuck to his face. And reluctantly went into the mountain recesses where he started his life as an Oni in exile.
No, I literally... Isn't that a character in, like, freaking... Was it Invader Zim? Or, like, there was a character that couldn't get out of the pig suit. And so he's like, I am now the pig. It was a pig or chicken. I can't remember. But it doesn't matter. Because it's, like, literally the same story.
Out in his exile, he grew in power and knowledge, learning and mastering strange dark magics. He met another demon child like him, named Ibaraki Doji, who became his chief servant / leader of the Onis. That's the second person that I'm going to talk about.
What is it?
Ibaraki Doji.
Ibaraki Doji.
So...
Sorry.
Shuten Doji, backstory is pretty dumb. It seems like he was cursed for almost no reason on all of them. The biggest reason being he liked to drink a lot.
Yeah. And was hot, apparently.
Oh, he was smoking. But let's go to Ibaraki Doji.
Ibaraki Doji and Omyoji look so cool, though.
Yeah. Ibaraki had a gang of thugs, whom gradually transformed into Oni like him. And he led a whole clan of Oni and yokai. He prowled the highways. Shuten Doji and his gang eventually settled upon Mount Oe near Kyoto. There, in his castle, he drank his time away, plotting to take the capital of Japan and rule as its emperor. He and his gang rampaged through the capital, capturing women and eating their bloods and organs and stuff. So that's why they ended up having to kill them, because they were thieves. Oh man, I forgot there's an even dumber tale of Shuten Doji. Here you go. He was a page. He found a corpse, and due to curiosity, he brought the meat back to the temple and fed it to his priest teacher. Afterwards, the page kept coming back with more meat from fresh corpses. He began to murder live humans and returned with their flesh. The priest, who thought it was suspicious that he kept having all this free meat, followed him, and he realized, after seeing him kill someone, that it was human meat, and he harshly criticized the page and abandoned him in the mountain. The page later became Shuten Doji, which is fucking... That's the one that actually makes sense.
Yeah, because it's just like, here, I'm gonna kill people for their meat. But it's also like, if you're a monk, like a monk in Shinto or Buddha's religion in Japan, you have to eat a certain diet. And I'm pretty sure human flesh is not a part of it.
It's not supposed to be, though.
No.
It's not the key.
I will,
the most
in the future, definitely do an episode on Tengu, because a lot of this stuff sounds like somebody who becomes a Tengu.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Ghosts and goblins all tend to be the same.
Yes.
But Ibaraki Doji was the most important servant of Shuten Doji.
Mm-hmm.
All of Shuten Doji's gang was destroyed by Minamoto. But Ibaraki escaped. Most stories and illustrations depict Ibaraki Doji as a Kijo. Do you know what that is?
A Kijo?
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan, no.
That is a chick.
Oh, because Joe is
a female Oni. Yet there are some stories which refer. Yeah. That's
Go on. That's it? It's just like, it's a Kijo, it's a demon woman.
Yeah,
cool.
it's a female Oni.
Okay.
But some refer to Ibaraki Doji as a male. There's a possibility that they were not only partners in crimes, but also lovers.
Gross.
What? Onis can't have love? They can't find
mix
love?
love and work. Nope. Can't do that.
You can't mix love and pleasure when you're an Oni.
When you're an Oni, I don't know, maybe, because it's supposed to be a bad thing. You're not supposed to mix those two.
Yeah, well, as an Oni, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Ibaraki Doji's most famous story takes place after the events of Shuten Doji's, at a place called Rashomon, the southern gate of old Kyoto's city walls. After the Heian period, it fell into serious disrepair and became known as an unsavory place. It was overgrown and unkept. Thieves and bandits.
Translated Kijo. Like the
Why?
breakdown of it.
Yeah.
Ki means spirit. I should have known that. Like actual like spirit. Like
And is Joe mean girl?
But Joe is like a common like woman thing. Like that's why it's like shoujo.
Yeah.
Shoujo? Kijo. I keep touching my sunglasses. It's not like it matters. Nice. I can't see that out of them anyways.
Thieves and bandits hung out near it. It even served as a dumping point for unwanted babies and a spot to dispose of murder victims. But the scariest part of all was that it was haunted by an Oni, the demon of Rashomon.
Rashomon?
After his celebrated victory over Shuten Doji, the hero, Minamoto no Yorimitsu, returned triumphant to Kyoto. He was celebrating at his home with his deputies when Fujiwara no Yasamusa, noble, informed them that there was an Oni seen haunting Rashomon. Watanabe no Tsuna, one of those deputies, having just returned from that great battle, could not believe such a thing. An Oni? Again? So he single-handedly went out to investigate, mounted his horse, and went south. When Tsuna arrived at the gate, a great howling wind broke out, and his horse got spooked, could not travel no further. He dismounted and went on foot. Approaching the gate, in this fierce gale, he noticed an enormous hand suddenly reach out of the dark to grab at his helmet. Tsuna, he wasn't having it. He swung his great katana and severed the arm of an enormous demon. It was Ibaraki Doji coming to avenge Shuten Doji. But the demon, injured, ran away, leaving her arm behind. Rashomon no longer haunted, but Tsuna, he showed the Oni's arm to Minamoto. Yorimitsu consulted with an Onmyoji at his advice, who said, that Oni will be back for the arm. Confine yourself in a house for 7 days. Let no one in. Several days after that, Ibaraki Doji tried to invade Tsuna's estate, using the remaining arm, but to no avail. The power of the sutra and talismans that he had were too strong. Finally, on the evening of the 7th night, Setsu, Tsuna's aunt, Mashiba, there are also versions where it's his stepmom, or his foster mom, not his aunt. She came to Tsuna's estate. Tsuna told her the circumstances and said that his aunt definitely cannot come in, but the old aunt grieved. From a young age, I raised you with such great care, and my reward is this kind of treatment? By that, Tsuna disobeyed his instructions and let his aunt into the estate. However, this was not his aunt. Guilt. In reality, Ibaraki Doji was in disguise. Well, still in his aunt's appearance, Ibaraki expressed desire to see the arm that Tsuna cut off from the Oni. And after carefully looking at the arm, taken out of the seal within a box, turned back, grabbed the arm, and flew into the air. Ha 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 ha! Broke the gable and disappeared into the sky. After that, her whereabouts were never known again. Said that kind of Canadian. Wear a boots.
We
Never
don't
know
say
it again.
wear a boot. We don't say a boot.
Yeah, you do. I've heard it.
We say about.
No, I've heard with a boot.
We do not say a boot.
Occasionally, in some town or another, villagers would claim to see Ibaraki coming or going, always in connection with some kind of mischief. Ibaraki also has some hilarious origin stories, because apparently, in Japan, you aren't born an Oni normally, you turn into one. So, Ibaraki, as a beautiful boy, he received a mountain of love letters from girls he knew, just like Shuten Doji.
Same hat! Same hat!
And as a beautiful boy, wooed by many females, his mother, anxious about his future, sent him to Yahikojo Jinja. However, when one time he left to return to his home, the mother found a love letter smeared with blood hidden in his luggage. Upon licking that blood once with her finger, he turned into a demon. That story's weird, I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where did the blood come from?
I don't know. Maybe he smacked someone. They don't elaborate. But Ibaraki Doji and Shuten Doji had sympathy for one another, having such a similar background. So they teamed up. And also because it might have been a beautiful girl. Because like we said, some people, no one knows really if Ibaraki was a girl or not. So it might have been a beautiful woman
beautiful person.
Every guy wanted to fuck.
Or maybe just all the girls also wanted. The girls.
Yeah, you don't know. That's the thing.
People.
That might be why it's so confusing. She might have they might have been so attractive.
Yeah.
So that's actually why the mom was so worried. And then turned into a demon.
Sorry.
Ibaraki left with Shuten Doji and began pillaging. Another myth of their beginning. Born at a village, thrown away at another, was picked up by Shuten Doji and raised. So, just abandoned. Just abandoned, found by another demon, raised up.
Uh-huh.
Another says he was born with fangs and long hair and a glint in his eye, and the power greater than a grown-up's. Family fearful, left him around to Ibaraki, and then he was picked up by Shuten Doji. So a lot of the tales he's just found, which is very funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, you expect the greatest demon king and his greatest disciple to have cool backstories, and they tend to be, was too hot and cursed to be ugly. According to a legend in Ibaraki, Ibaraki Doji was born in the town of Mitsuo, but after a difficult delivery of 18 months, more than Shuten Doji, he had grown teeth and was immediately able to walking, and laughed with sharp eyes upon looking at his mother, causing his mom to die of shock. The Oni-like child was too much for the father, so he was thrown away in front of Kamiyu in Kusagami Forest at the town of Ibaraki, and was then raised by the lady of a barber shop, who had no children. Doji, who excelled over adults in strength and physique at a young age, was too much for the barbershop, but was taught the job and settled down doing so. However, one day, Doji accidentally injured a customer's face with a razor, and in fright, licked the blood off his hand. But, oh no, he reveled in the taste of the blood and began to intentionally cut customers' faces and drink their blood. Having been yelled at by the barbershop owner, the despondent Doji leaned against a bridge over a brook, hung down his head in shame, and noticed his face reflected in the water had become that of an Oni. Not returning to the barbershop, they fled north into the mountain of Tanba, and before long met Shuten Doji. That bridge was called Ibaraki Doji Sugatami Bashi, but no longer exists. Mm-hmm. And there's a monument with an inscription at its former site.
I wonder if it's the one that I just sent you. There's a
Probably,
big...
yeah.
Yeah.
That is my favorite tale. Like Shuten Doji. I like Shuten Doji's tale where he was drunk and wore a mask around and made fun of people. That one's pretty solid. And I like this one where Ibaraki was a barber that just started to cut people because they liked blood. Becoming the greatest Onis we would ever meet.
The worst
Horrified.
pies in London. And
The
then
worst
hopefully people will recognize that one.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're just saying nonsense. That's cool.
It's because you don't listen to musicals.
No, of course not.
I'll give you a gold star if you recognize it, guys.
Don't worry, Christine's gold stars are only worth about a copper in real life.
A copper.
Yeah. They're chintzy. Are you ready to finish this episode off with your great story, Christine?
I really liked your stories, by the way. They were really cool.
Oh, I really liked mine too. I was having really fun. Shooting Doji's really silly.
Actually, I've never heard of Shuten Doji. Maybe because I
He's
don't...
one of the great three I told you.
But I don't
Doesn't sound
really
like it.
care about Oni, like the regular Oni. Like, I don't really care about them.
Yeah,
I
no,
prefer,
makes
like,
sense.
the weird, like, Beto-San and things like that. Like, or
Well, that's
Buri
the thing for... Onis are just essentially Japan's ogres that
Yes.
are also called demons once the West showed up. And so they're really funny. They're just big people that run around the woods and punch you.
And drink all the booze.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody does that.
Yes. He's not like a Urari Hyun who just drinks all your tea. He goes into your house and drinks your tea.
That's fine. I'll give him my tea. I don't want it anyway.
So my next story actually comes from Reddit.
Oh, scary. The
Which I
scariest
literally,
place.
I have never really been on Reddit, so like it was like, how do I navigate? I don't understand this. But that's fine. I'll learn. This is from, I think the user named Word Blender.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure. So this story goes, so this happened to my son when he was 17 years old. We lived in New Mexico at the time. My son Cody was riding along with his friends Drew and Alex. They were in Drew's truck and Drew was driving. It was night and they were heading to Drew's house. Drew lived in the country, so the road they were on was isolated, surrounded by desert. I think we're going to see another, like, skinwalker thing. In
Yeah, probably.
fact, the whole area is flat and mostly dirt. Also, as they were driving along, they see a man standing in the middle of the road. Drew slows down, and they all expect the guy to move off to the side. The guy doesn't move. He just stands there. Drew slows to a stop. The guy is standing just outside the light of the headlights. He's wearing jeans and some sort of, like, long-sleeve shirt. They couldn't make out the features of the guy's face, but they could tell that he was facing them. Nobody moves in a few seconds. Nobody moves for a few seconds. The kids start to talk about going around him, but aren't sure if they should pass by the guy or turn around and go another way. Suddenly, the guy drops on all fours. Oh, this is Skinwalker! And starts running towards the truck. All the kids start screaming. Drew slams the truck into reverse and floors it. Now they're going backwards on the dark country road. This guy is chasing them on all fours and keeps up with the truck. Drew goes faster and faster. The guy drops out of sight. Drew turns the truck around and they all come back to our house. I was in the living room and they came running in, slammed and locked the door, then went tearing up the stairs to Cody's room. I'm surprised they didn't even tell, hey dad, monster. I went up to see what was going on, and this is when they told me the story. I never seen them so pale and frightened. They were completely freaked out. This happened on a Friday night around 8 p.m. These were kids that normally would rather be anywhere except home on a weekend. The weekend they stayed at our place the whole time. They didn't go out at all, and then only left because they had school on Monday. It took a month before they wanted to go out again at night. They would go anywhere during the day, but at night they usually gathered at our house. After a little research, it is a skinwalker. They agreed that it was a skinwalker because it's in New Mexico, so that would make sense. Even to this day, if I bring up that night, Cody and his friends really get quiet. It took them a long time for them to get past it, and they still think about what they saw back there. So, that's super cool. Skinwalkers! Yay.
Yeah, should have found this last week.
I'm sorry. There was actually a lot of stories about skinwalkers, like hundreds. This is probably one of them.
Hundreds.
Well, there's like a thread or something. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't feel like reading hundreds of, like, 6-paragraph stories. So.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, that was an interesting story. I didn't check any of our... Well, it hasn't been a week since we sent it. We have an email now. So if you want to send us your personal stories...
Oh, fuck, we do.
We have an email. Bob set it up because he's a great person.
Man, I forget what it's called.
It is Occult Class
at gmail.com.
I'm pretty sure that's just it. So...
Yeah, no, I decided to name it exactly what our show was, so it'd be easy to remember.
Occult Class at gmail.com.
So, if you have any questions, or if you want to yell at us and call us dummies, please email at occultclass@gmail.com. Make sure to capitalize Christine's middle name. It's David.
I actually have two middle names.
Yeah, it's David Steve. But if you don't want to email, you could also just comment below. We always read the comments, and I try to respond, unless Christine has already liked it like a fool.
I like all of the comments. At least most of them, I think. I'm pretty sure. Why don't you respond if I like it? Is it like, she's already touched it?
No, I do. That was a lie.
Okay.
I only tell truths on
you
this
don't
show. I know.
So mean.
It's a mystery. Yeah, but if you have a sick topic to suggest, feel free to yell at us. We love topics.
I love topics.
Thanks for listening and being here with us again on this spooky Wednesday night.
Yes, it's Wednesday. It's not at all the weekend right now.
This is the spookiest part of the show, the ending.
Yes.
And I've decided, at the ending of the show, there's a new segment called Bob Reads a Mythological Story from one of his books.
So it's just another
this week,
topic?
We're in Russia. No, it's no topic. This is Russian Fairy Tales. By Alexander Avantsev. And this week's tale is The Little Fool. Gather round, settle down, take a knee, pop a squat. Are you ready? I am. Once upon a time, there lived an old man and his old wife. They had 3 sons. 2 older ones were very clever, but the third was called Ivanchko, the Little Fool. The clever brothers grazed sheep in the field, but the fool did nothing at all. The whole day long he sat at the stove, catching flies. One day the old woman prepared some rye dumplings and said to the fool, "Here are some dumplings. Take them to your brothers for their dinner." She filled a pot with the dumplings, and he took it, lumbered off to find his brothers. It was a sunny day. When Ivanchko came out on the road, he saw his shadow at his side and thought, "Who the hell's that? He walks by my side and does not leave me for an instant. Surely he wants these dumplings."
Oh my God.
He began to throw the dumplings at the shadow. One after another, he threw them all away, but the shadow kept following. "What an insatiable glutton," said the fool, angrily, and hurled the pot at the shadow. Shards flew in all directions. He came empty-handed to his brothers. They asked, "Why'd you come here, fool?" "I have brought you dinner," he says. Where is it? Give it to us at once." "Well, you see, brothers, a stranger was following me all the way here, and he ate them all." "What stranger? Where is he?" "Even now he is standing by my side." The brothers began to swear at him and thrash him. Having thrashed him, they told him to tend the sheep, and themselves went home to have dinner in the village. The little fool set about tending the sheep. Seeing that they scattered all over the field, he decided to gather them together and tear out their eyes.
What?
He herded them in a little spot, plucked out the eyes of every one of them, made them huddle together in a heap, and sat there as happy as a lark. He thought that he had done something worthwhile. The brothers ate their dinner and returned to the field. "You fool, what kind of mess did you make here? Why is the flock blinded?" "What do they need their eyes for, brothers?" "When you went away, they scattered everywhere, so I thought it would be a good idea to catch them, gather them together, pluck out their eyes. It was a lot of work. It made me tired." "Just wait, we'll show you what it means to be tired," said the brothers, and began to belabor him with their fists. And the fool was well rewarded for his trouble. Some time passed, not much, not little. One day, the old parents sent Ivanchko to the little fool. He went to town to buy provisions for the holidays. Ivanchko brought many things, a table, some spoons, cups, and salt. He loaded a whole cart with objects of every description. He started to drive home, but his horse, it seems, was not quite strong enough for such a heavy load, and walked rather slowly. Ivanchko thought to himself, after all, the table has 4 legs, just like the horse. Why shouldn't it run home by itself? So he put the table on the road. He drove along. A long distance, a short distance, and then the ravens circled over him, cawing. The little sisters must be hungry, else why would they cry like that? Thought the fool, and put out dishes with victuals to treat the ravens. Eat, little sisters, you are welcome, he said, and rattled on slowly. And that's where we'll pause this week. We'll find out what horrible things happened to the poor little fool next week.
I wouldn't say poor. Holy crap.
I feel bad for the little fool.
I currently do not, since he plucked out the eyes of sheep.
What do sheep need eyes for, Christine?
You don't pluck eyes from something. That's rude.
Gather round, my little sheep. I'm gonna just take out all your eyeballs like Itachi from Naruto.
Yeah.
Just rip all the eyes out. Next week we'll find out if his brothers give him yet another thrashing.
The answer is probably yes.
Yeah, or maybe next week he'll find 15 women to save and marry them all. You never know with classical fairy tales.
You never know.
But this time, it's the real end of the show. I thank you all for watching. This was Bob.
And this is Christine.
Have a spooky life.